So in addition to, just a little comment, to Venerable Chuni's PS to the VVC, yeah, it isn't just accumulating merit and figuring out if you want to take ordination. It's accumulating merit and figuring out if you want to be a monastic for the rest of your life. Okay, because those are two different things. And, she told a story about somebody who met their teacher and knew from the very first moment she wanted to ordain and he was going to be her teacher. So we hear stories like that, and then we go, what's wrong with me? I didn't feel that. And I remember when we had one of our Vinaya courses in Bodhgaya in 1996, there was one woman who was a lay woman, and she came for the course. Venerable Bullion said she could come. And she came to me and Venerable Lakshay Soma and says, I want to ordain. Geshe Sonam Rinchen walked in that room, and I just got shivers up and down my back. I know he's my teacher. Ordain me. And Lakshay and I look at each other. Yeah, we've heard this story before. Yeah, we call it ordination fever. And we said, just slow down, because she was new, attend some teachings, establish a daily practice, just go and do what, just be yourself and learn the Dharma, and then see how it goes. She was so mad at us, because she wanted to go get ordained right there. And she was really mad. Okay, then fast forward a few years, then I was in Montana, and she came to, I was giving some talks there, and she came to the talks, and she came up to me afterwards, and she said, thank you so much for what you said way back when, telling me to just slow down and establish a practice. I wasn't ready to ordain, and she still wasn't. I don't know if she ever ordained, but just because we hear these stories, it's filled with joy, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm so skeptical. I was practicing with all these people, the FPMT, it's always, the guru, the guru, the guru, doing what the guru wants, doing what the guru wants. And the guru is the Buddha, the guru is the Buddha, the guru is the Buddha. And I'm going, how do I know the Buddha exists? Yeah? It's like when I was a kid, they said God exists. And I was asking, how do I know God exists? Nobody could give me any kind of evidence that made any sense to me. So I was asked, how do I know the Buddha existed? Well, he was a historical figure, okay. Yeah, so was Jesus. But, how do I know his teachings are correct? And that's where thinking comes in. Yeah, not just believing, but investigating, analyzing, asking questions, and working on things over a period of time. And there's no fixed schedule, and you don't have to compete with anybody else to see who ordains first and who ordains second, or maybe, also another option is maybe you choose not to ordain. Yeah, that's fine if you come to this course and you go, I learned some really important things. I got some more information about Dharma. I know more about values, but I've thought about this, monastic life and being celibate. And I really want to have a family and, travel and enjoy my life. Well, if you figure that out, that's fine. The Course is designed to help people get clarity. The Course is not designed to steer everybody into ordination. It's to help people get clarity on what, how you want to live your life, what you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. And that clarity is good because then, because Buddhism needs good lay practitioners, people who are lay, who really practice well, and who know how to set a good example for the young people who come. Yeah. And we need people like that. We need people who will, work broader in the community than monastics can. Yeah. And so we had one of our very staunch supporters, at one point very early on came and said, I want to ordain, or I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. But, I kind of looked at her situation and I said, be a good lay person, a good lay person. And she's great. She connects us with all sorts of people in the community because she's one of those people who talks to people, makes connections. And, Buddhism needs kind of connection with secular institutions in society. Okay. So it's, just relax. Yeah. If you're already ordained, you've made your decision. Don't question it. Yeah. This. What? You can relax into being a monastic. Yeah. You do not relax your precepts or question your previous decision. Yeah. If you start questioning that, then you're going back on the fence. Yeah. And if you enjoyed being on the fence before, great, it's a good place. Go sit on the fence like the turkeys do right before Thanksgiving. Very secure place to sit if you're a turkey before Thanksgiving, on the fence. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So then we should do the prayers. We should do the prayers. What's wrong with me just talking without doing the prayers? Yeah. Are we breaking the rules? Oh, he's giving me that look again. Yeah. Yes. Oh, now he's smiling like, who, me? Who, me? Yes, you, the one who wants to do everything perfectly. Yeah, who doesn't ever want to make a mistake. So sad, isn't it? Okay, so we'll talk about the monastic mind motivation. And we'll let him stew. And right before 4 o'clock, yeah, either him or her will say, don't you want to do the prayers? Yeah. See, I told you, when you live with people, you get to know them very well. Yeah. Okay. So having a monastic mind benefits our Dharma practice, whether we are monastics or lay practitioners. Why? Because it talks about values. Yeah, and values are the basis of any kind of life. Yeah, what are your ethical values? You know, um, yeah, what do you think is important in life? Is AI really important? Yeah. What do you think is really important? Okay, a monastic mind is one that is humble, imbued with a Buddhist worldview, dedicated to cultivating mindfulness, attentive alertness, love, compassion, wisdom, and other good qualities. So I think we've gotten that far. Okay. So the other good qualities, I would say, things that we have to cultivate are faith and confidence in the teachings, confidence in our own abilities, um, the ability to cooperate with other people, yeah, the wish to cooperate, yeah, to build things together, um, respect for other living beings, knowing that they have the Buddha potential, they cherish their own life, they want to be happy and not suffer, and we respect them and their wishes. That doesn't mean we can give them everything they want, but we respect them as human beings. We don't say anybody is evil. We don't call people names and say that their blood is polluting the country, or that, whatever names you want to call other people or things you want to accuse them of. Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, because the Buddha wanted everybody to become awakened. Yeah, the Buddha, one of the Buddha's qualities that makes him a reliable guide is he will help and guide whoever, as much as they want and as open as they are to the teachings. In other words, it doesn't matter if you like the Buddha or don't like the Buddha. If you, wow, the Buddha got 5 bananas today. Buddha, you did really well. Yeah? Yeah. So the Buddha doesn't care. You gave him 5 bananas or 6 bananas, or maybe no bananas. Maybe you went bananas. Okay. Yeah. But the Buddha sees, and respects every living being. Yeah. So that as much as he can be of benefit, to the extent that that person is receptive and open, then the Buddha manifests and teaches and guides. Yeah. He doesn't say, oh, that person, wow, gave a really big donation. Now they're going to build a big statue of me. I'll teach that person. Yeah. So, there's a big difference between Buddhas and politicians. Yeah, what do politicians do? You give a big donation and they do whatever you want. Yeah. So, but the Buddha's not like that. We do create more merit when we give. Yeah. So we don't make offerings in order to, get some special favor. We make offerings because we need to accumulate merit. Okay. So, yeah, so the Buddha has these kind of qualities, and I was questioning, how do I know the Buddha exists? Yeah. And it was quite interesting, it wasn't like one thing happened and I go, oh yeah, now I know. It was as I began to study, yeah, and a few, particular teachings kind of helped increase my faith. One was Dharmakirti talking about the valid, what is a valid person, yeah, and all the causes, one after the other, to become a valid person. And I thought about those causes. Oh yeah, this cause brings this, brings this, brings this, brings this. Oh yes, if you follow that sequence, yes, you can gain those qualities and become a Buddha. So that was one thing. Also, the quotation downstairs by the foyer from Chandrakirti, about compassion. That really struck me too. You have to have teachings on it. It isn't immediately apparent what, all the meaning of that. But when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, that is possible. Yeah. Okay. So slowly, yeah, gaining confidence that it is possible to develop those kind of qualities. Yeah. Because if you come from a scientific background, they tell you that we are hardwired to look out for ourselves and ourself alone. That little amygdala, it's just say, oh, that's threatening. All hands online. That's what the amygdala does, what is it? Fear. Yeah, what's the center of the fear? I. Oh, maybe that's why realizing the emptiness of the self is important. Because if I look closely at my mind, there's what I call the tyranny of the I. Yeah, that the I, the person I, not this one, but the person I, it's like, I am here, I exist, I rule everything. Yeah, and everything should be the way I want it to be. And my rights are to criticize, knock down, destroy, and create havoc with anything I don't like. Oh, okay. That's based on a lot of a certain conception of what the self is. That self is autonomous. Yeah. Doesn't depend on anyone or anything. It doesn't, forget analyzing what it is, if it has characteristics. None of that matters because I feel it. You have that feeling of I? I feel it. And my feelings are true. Everything I feel exists. Starting with myself, the idea I have of I. Okay, so you begin to see that everything, kind of the different Dharma teachings, one topic leads you to another, yeah, and you got to figure out how to bring them together, and how to have them flow, and figure out, what you believe. Okay. being mindful of the kindness I have received from all sentient beings. Gee, I thought it was I only received kindness from some of them. You know, the ones that I know, the ones who think I'm wonderful, the ones who remember my birthday. Yeah, those people are kind to me. Yeah. Have you noticed that it's now stink bug season? Yeah, they just started coming out, the blossoming of the stink bugs. Yeah, it happens every year. And they're so friendly. They fly, they land on your shoulder. They're find a way into your room, under the door. They're everywhere. Yeah. So, what's this about respecting all living beings, including stink bugs? I don't want to step on them, but it's their fault if I do because they put themselves under my feet. The tyranny of I. Isn't that? Okay, so being mindful of the kindness I've received from all sentient beings. That stink bug, or those stink bugs, or all stink bugs, were once my parents. Yeah, maybe as a human being, maybe we were all spiders together, or maybe we were all turkeys together. Yeah. Have you seen the 2 mama turkeys with the 3 babies? Yeah. And how the mama turkeys take care of their babies, while, Alfred is running over there and, yeah, Henrietta is going over there and Ethel's in the back. And, come on, chicks, stay together. We got to be safe. But Mama, I want to go. I want to do what I want to do. Yeah. So if you have human kids, it's going to be the same as what the mama turkeys go through. Daddy turkeys, they're off gambling somewhere, doing some kind of thing, parading around. I don't know what, we see them, they walk around. They're the ones that fly up and get all the offerings, the preta offerings. But they were, our parents at one time or another too. And then our mind said, oh, but I wasn't born as a turkey. If I was a bird, I was a peacock. Yeah, I wasn't just an ordinary turkey who you carve up at Christmas. I was a beautiful peacock. Okay. But to really, go beyond just thinking of the kindness of the people the kindness of your friends and relatives. That's, we got to think of that. But that's not the only kindness. Yeah, I mean, who built this building? Yeah, do you know all the people who built this building? And we just kind of come in, plop ourselves down. Yes, it's my building to enjoy. But the amount of effort that went into building it, and the number of people who donated the money in order to build it. This building is due to, well over 1,000 people. And we don't even know all of them. But our having this opportunity depends on them. Yeah, so they were kind. Okay, I will relate, so being mindful of the kindness I've received from sentient beings, I will relate to them with fortitude, kindness, and compassion. So I won't take all my anger out on other people, even on stink bugs and, whoever. I'll relate to them with fortitude, knowing that sometimes they misbehave and they do all sorts of obnoxious things, probably the same things similar to what I do when I'm obnoxious, except they do them and now I'm the recipient of the obnoxiousness. But they, as Lama Yeshe said, they means well, dear. So have fortitude. Relate to them with kindness. Yeah, at least speak respectively. Yeah, don't push them around. And compassion, wanting them to be free of dukkha and its causes. Yeah, so this is very, very good meditation to do when you're in a crowded place. Yeah, if you ever go to a rave? Yeah, you're at a rave and you look around, all these people want happiness and not suffering, and they're raving away in the attempt to eliminate their suffering and be happy. Yeah, and I wish them well, but it's really kind of sad because they're not going to wind up happy at the end of the day. They'll probably wind up drunk on somebody's couch. Yeah. Okay, but I relate with compassion, and whatever I can do to help, I will. I will be mindful of my precepts and values and will cultivate introspective awareness of my thoughts and feelings, as well as how I speak and act. So, mindful of our precepts, learning the precepts, knowing what your precepts are, yeah, knowing the monastic etiquette. So, what we have to learn isn't just the precepts, it's the whole kit and caboodle. What is monastic etiquette? Yeah, and etiquette doesn't mean just being polite. It's, how do monasteries run? If you're in a big group of people, when His Holiness is teaching, yeah, well, how do you behave? What do you think? Okay, so being mindful of our precepts, our values, how to act in different situations, yeah, and then not the mindfulness is remembering those, knowing them and remembering them. And then the introspective awareness is being aware of my thoughts and feelings, okay? Are my, and how I speak and act, okay? So I'm mindful of my values and my precepts, and then I have to check, am I acting according to them? Yeah, am I acting according to my values, or is there an affliction hijacking the situation? Yeah. And so often we start out well, with a good intention in the morning, and then one thing happens, and affliction arises, and yeah, I'm sure everybody's had that experience, huh? Yeah, not surprising, but we try and cultivate introspective awareness so that we can catch these things before they completely run over everything and take control of the mind. Yeah, but that's real work, because you make that determination in the morning and then ping, some small thing and you're off. Yeah, and then once you're in a bad mood, everything looks negative. Yeah, everything is bad. Okay. Okay, so, kind of to be aware, is our mind strained to that kind of emotion, that kind of thought? Yeah. How about my speech? How about how I'm acting? And so, you know, the alarm bell should ring not when other people criticize us, but when we see that our affliction is arising. Okay, could be any affliction. We have 84,000, so you can just choose one. Okay, and you're aware that it's rising. Oh, okay. I better see what's the affliction, what's the antidote, get myself rebalanced. I will take care to act and speak at suitable times and in appropriate ways. What? I want to just say whatever I want to say when I feel like saying it. And I'm me, so, and especially I'm the abbess, so, I can say whatever I want whenever I feel like it, and you can ignore it, which you mostly do. Okay? But, to instead take care to act and speak at suitable times. What's the right time to bring something up? Okay? And in appropriate ways. Is it appropriate to speak gently, or is it more appropriate to let people know that you mean business? Yeah. What kind of words do I use? Do I just say what's ever on the tip of my tongue, or do I think about, how am I going to communicate with this person? Okay, abandoning idle talk and disruptive movements. But idle talk is so much fun. Yeah. And disruptive movements, you think Namo Amitabha is disruptive. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. If I throw something across the room, that's a bit disruptive. Okay. If I'm in a hurry and I spill my food all over, something, that's disruptive. Okay, now, did I do this when we went 2 weeks ago to our congressional representative's office? No. Okay, yeah, I knew that wasn't the appropriate behavior, for him. So now you're wondering why I think it's appropriate behavior for you. Contemplate. Okay. And avoid disruptive movements. Okay. With respect for others and confidence in my own good qualities. Yeah, so those two have to be together, that we respect others and we have confidence in our own good qualities. We don't have, the problem sometimes is we have confidence in our bad qualities. Yeah. It's like my bad, this, in fact, we don't even see it as a bad quality. We see it as something good. And we want to spread it to others so that they can enjoy in the same way. Okay? So, yeah. But you see, this all goes back to values. What are our values? Okay. So, the confidence in ourselves is knowing that we have there's certain good qualities that we are stronger in and certain others ones that we aren't, but we're in a work in progress, and slowly we keep practicing. But we're also quite aware of what are our buttons. What do we just fly off with? And what are our buttons? What are the things that we're sensitive to? And how do I act when that button's been pushed? Do I explode? Do I run away? Do I lie down and cry right then and there? Do I crack a joke? To distract everybody? So, to check up, so that we can see the areas that we need to work on, and know that we can work on them, and be confident that we will deal with these things, instead of, but it's so hard. I was traumatized. My little brother beat me up. Actually, I beat him up and got in trouble for it, but he started it, and that just meant that my whole childhood, yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is somebody who, me, yeah, who had a very good childhood, but felt that it just wasn't good enough. Yeah, that I missed out on this and I missed out on that. No, no, no. Yeah. Anybody else feel that way? Everything was unfair. My second grade teacher didn't let me be in the class play. That just, and then I haven't told you the story. Then I was playing flute, started in 5th grade playing the flute. I was good. Of course I was good. Yeah. Why was I good? Because I was me. Yeah. Okay. So then, playing flute. And we had to sit in order of how good we are, kind of. Yeah. So there was one nun who was ahead of me, but she was a year ahead of me. So that's okay. Yeah. Hmm? I said, there was one nun ahead of me. Yeah. Okay. Maybe she became a nun. I don't know. Yeah, she's very nice, very, calm person. Yeah. So that was okay. Yeah. Then I was in 8th grade. Then there's this pipsqueak 7th grader. I don't even remember her name. And she dared to challenge me. Yeah. Because by that time I think I was first. Yeah. And she challenged me. And I practiced. I did so well, and practice. No 7th grader is going to take my seat. No way. So the teacher, had, she played something, I played something, and he said, you both played the passage perfect, yeah, and gave us another thing to do, kind of, that we had never played before, yeah, impromptu. We played those, and he said, you both played that very well. But she, this 7th grader, there was the sign at the end of one of the passage, which meant that you're supposed to go back to the beginning and play that part again. I forget what that sign's called. Anyway, she did it, and I didn't. I just finished it and stopped. And she went and started to practice it. And he chose her to take the first seat because of that stupid thing. After I practiced so hard, I played it really well, and she got the first chair. Well, that destroyed my self-confidence. Yeah, that was it. I went in high school, I played flute there, but I didn't have the same confidence, the same enthusiasm. Yeah, destroyed. Okay, so we should not be like that. Yeah, we can acknowledge our faults, but don't make them into an identity. Acknowledge your mistakes, but it doesn't mean everything you do in the future is going to be a disaster. Yeah. People are always saying to me, oh, thank you for setting up the Abbey. If I told you of all the mistakes I made along the way, yeah, you wouldn't say thank you. You would say, I'm glad I didn't know you then. Yeah. But yeah, to, acknowledge our mistakes and move through them. Okay, so with respect for others and confidence in my good qualities, I will be humble and easy for others to speak to. Yeah, I'm easy to speak to as long as they treat me properly. Yeah, and they talk respectfully. Yeah, right? Are you, yeah, if people talk to you in a disrespectful way, are you thereafter easy to speak to with those people? No. You're like, get out of here. Yeah. What's the saying? Black but pot, dirty pot shouldn't criticize pans. Something. What is it? What?
The pot calling the kettle black.
That's it. The pot calling the kettle black. Yeah. Oh, and people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Yeah. Those are reasonable things. Yeah. But if somebody talks to me in a way that I think they shouldn't, yeah, do I speak respectfully and humbly back? No. Okay. But we should be easy to speak to, because then, then we can be friendly with people. Then, I mean, when in the evening when we praise the different Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, yeah, what are the qualities that we praise them for? We don't say, oh, Kashidi Garba, you're so difficult to speak to. That's why I pay homage to you. No. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be humble and easy for others to speak to. In all these activities, I will endeavor to remember impermanence, the emptiness of inherent existence, and to act with bodhicitta. Okay? So those are three big things to remember. Yeah. Because if you are well grounded in thinking about impermanence, then that really helps with the determination to be free of samsara. Yeah, which is the meaning of renunciation. Yeah, impermanence puts us in that direction. Because if everything is transient, changing moment by moment, what's the use of craving things and getting attached to them and making a big production if I don't get what I want? Yeah. So that's very helpful. And then, of course, emptiness, to subdue the tyranny of the I, and bodhicitta, to have a kind, open heart that really wants to benefit others. Instead of cheating them, deceiving them, yeah, putting ourselves out as one thing, but having a different motivation. All the kinds of things you see in society at large now. Yeah. Okay. So, questions, comments? Okay. then we'll look at the offering service one. Okay. So this is the one that, the Abbey, every morning the residents have a stand-up meeting, and we go around in the circle, say something we rejoice from for the previous day, and tell others what the plan is, what we're going to do that day. Yeah, and we call it offering service, not work, because if you work, if you have the attitude of I'm working, then it's a thing, this is not very pleasant. Yeah, I have to work. But if you offer service, wow, I can make an offering. I can give something, to the situation. And this is something, that this group from EML, you people have been fantastic with it. Such a good attitude of wanting to offer service and helping, and some of it's hard and you need to use your muscles, and some of it makes you late for lunch, but you do it, and you do it with a lot of love and joy, and that's really important, because you're offering service. You're not working, Yeah. For the monastics, they say we're offering service. What do they think? I'm working. I got to do this and I got to do that. We have teams, and my team lead doesn't listen to me, and I have more things on my list to do than everybody else, aside from the fact that I waste a lot of time. But that doesn't matter. My list is longer than their list. It's so unfair. It's so unfair, and I'm short of sleep, I'm short of temper, and I became a monastic, so I could watch my belly button all day, and they're making me work, not even paying me. They say I create merit. Yeah, what kind of merit, I want to see the merit, Yeah, it's hard to pull ourselves out of the working mind. The mind that says, I have to work, and I have to, work better than everybody else. I have to do more and better so that I deserve to be here, because otherwise they're going to kick me out. Yeah. They're going to kick me out because, I can't do anything. All I can do is wash dishes. What a pathetic case. So I go in and I wash dishes reluctantly. And I'm mad at everybody. You left 2 pieces of tofu in that pan. Why don't you just eat them so I can clean the pan already? Now I have to put those 2 little itty bitty pieces of tofu in a special container and label it. Yeah, and put it in the refrigerator. Why didn't you just eat it? And then I can wash the pan. Ah, these people. Yeah. And then, I'm offering service. This is my relaxed time, but I'm offering service after lunch, and somebody burned the pan. Yeah. Now, we've talked about not roasting vegetables because the vegetables burn and the pan burns along with the vegetables. And that makes it really hard if you're on washing the pan duty, doesn't it? And they roasted the vegetables again after we have talked about this. Why are you laughing? You must be the one who roasted the vegetable. Yeah. I didn't have to wash it, but I am magnanimous and I'm sticking up for whoever had to wash the pan with the burnt vegetables. Okay, so we have to have a certain attitude for it to be offering service. Yeah, so we start at least with the word offer service, yeah, instead of work. But even you work it as a job, think of it as offering service to whoever the customers and the clients are. Yeah. You might say, well, I work in a factory. I don't even see who's using the widgets that I make. Well, you may not see them, but you're making those widgets, you're involved in that process. And you can think, may whoever uses these widgets be free of suffering and have happiness in its causes. Okay, so you can change it into offering service. Yeah, when you go visit your parents, take out the garbage, make your bed. When you're at the monastery, make your bed, take out the garbage. Yeah, yeah, and think of it as offering service because it affects everybody else in the environment. Okay, so we're grateful for the opportunity to offer service to the Buddha's Dharma Sangha and to sentient beings. It's to both of them, okay? The three jewels and sentient beings. Yeah. Now, I've lived in several different Dharma centers, yeah? And the usual way people are is they all want to offer service to the Rinpoche, to the Geshe, to the, teacher. Yeah, isn't it? And everybody's competing about, I'm gonna make their cup of tea. Yeah, because you get so much energy or so much merit from making offerings to to a Rinpoche, to a Geshe, regular monks and nuns, forget them. But, to everybody else, I want to create merit. So I'm competing with everybody else to get in there and make that tea and bring it to them. Okay? Then, when it comes to, then you have teachings. And in Shantideva, I talked about this just recently, when, who was it in relationship to? Shantideva talks about if you serve sentient beings, it makes the Buddha happy. If you mistreat sentient beings and harm them, it makes the Buddha unhappy. And somebody was saying to me, but how can the Buddha be unhappy and happy over things like that? Shantideva explains it that when sentient beings create merit, yeah, then that makes the Buddha happy, not in the same way as getting chocolate makes us happy, but why is the Buddha teaching? Why is the Buddha doing everything the Buddha's doing? It's so that sentient beings will, advance towards liberation and awakening and be free of samsara. So here's somebody, doing something for other sentient beings. Buddha's going, yay, this is what I want sentient beings to do. Somebody is harming sentient beings, then the Buddha, this is the opposite of what the Buddha wants for that individual who's doing the harming. Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, when we then serve sentient beings, or in the Dharma, let me go back to the Dharma Center where everybody's vying with each other to make the tea and, let alone serve the toast. Just ask her. She's worked in a Dharma Center. She knows all about it. Yeah. And, everybody's competing to serve somebody big and get a lot of merit. But who does the Buddha cherish more than himself? Sentient beings. Do those same people want to serve sentient beings? Forget it. You want me to wash the dishes of, Joe Blow, who's some beep, 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 beep. Yeah. I want to serve the Guru who's the Buddha. But I don't want to do anything for these creepy sentient beings. Yeah. I work so hard in the kitchen. I wash their dishes. Do they say thank you? No. They just tell me, don't roast the vegetables. Okay? So we should have, it's offering service to the three jewels and to sentient beings. And we should do both with the same amount of enthusiasm and effort. Yeah. Because we create merit doing both. Yeah. Okay, while working with others, differences in ideas and ways of doing things may arise. But my ideas and ways of doing things are always the correct one, and everybody should do that. Okay, next line. Okay. Differences in ideas and ways of doing things may arise. What do you think? Is that true? Or is that conspiracy theory? There's no difference in ideas and ways of doing things. No.
Not just may, but it's will arise.
Yeah, it's not may arise, it's will arise. Okay, it's not surprising. These are natural and a source of creative exchange. Our minds don't need to make them into conflicts. So if we can, it's natural, it's not something abnormal that differences arise, okay? But can we relate to them and make them a thing of people working together? Yeah, listen to each other's ideas, respect each other's ideas, work together to find a remedy, okay? Something like that. That's what you did in order to get the Buddha up on the altar this morning. Okay, our minds do not need to make them into conflicts, but it's so much fun to be in a conflict because I'm always right. Yeah. No, there's a difference in ideas, opinions. Instead of seeing them as an opportunity to listen, to discuss, to work together, yeah, we tune somebody out, we contradict somebody, we throw a temper tantrum, whatever. We make them into conflicts, but we don't need to. We will endeavor to listen deeply and communicate wisely and kindly as we work together for our common goal. So it's that feeling of having a common goal that keeps us working together. Yeah. What splinters us apart is if, we start tabulating, I'm working harder than that person, I'm spending more time than that person. They're asking me to do something that's impossible. All these thoughts about what I want and how comfortable I am with something. Yeah, that creates the problems, yeah. But we will endeavor to listen deeply, yeah, and really try and hear what the other person's saying instead of dismissing it, and communicate wisely and kindly, yeah, so to respond wisely and with kindness as we work together for our common goal. And so really coming back to we are working together for a common goal. And that's the important part. By using our body and speech to support the values we deeply believe in. Yeah, generosity, kindness, ethical conduct, love, and compassion. We will create great merit, which we dedicate for the awakening of all beings. Okay, so we're using our body and speech with the support of our mind to live according to our values and our principles. Yeah, we create a lot of merit by acting with generosity, kindness, wisdom, and so on. And we don't just keep thinking, oh, I created a lot of merit. This is my merit. Yeah. No, we dedicate it. Yeah. We say, may this ripen, not only in my full awakening, but the full awakening of all living beings. So you practice generosity even with your merit. Okay. Any more comments, questions?
I just want to appreciate that you composed these for our benefit that have been so useful day after day after day after day. They have shaped really how we relate to one another over these many years. And it would be good to acknowledge that. I just want to appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think, by all of us saying these things together, and reminding ourselves and doing it together, yeah, that it creates a certain culture here at the Abbey, yeah, which at many other places you don't find. We
Needed these things also.
Yeah.
I mean, it arose from a genuine need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we still need to do it, but the fact that they were composed out of a recognized need was, yeah.
Well, this is the same way that the precepts were composed, because somebody, did something unkind or, harmful, and the Buddha made a precept. So, yeah, you deal with the situations and make guidelines according to the situations. Yeah.
I think this idea of offering service to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is something so profound. Like, it's taken me really, really long to just appreciate that idea, and how it's different from working, or like even just recently staying in a place that was a guest house where people paid to stay there, and how they relate to the place is so different. Whereas when I go there, I'm thinking, of course, someone very kindly sponsored my fees to stay there, but I'm thinking, oh, this is a place that belongs to the Three Jewels. So of course I'm gonna have and we're all supposed to have a community chore. So I'm just used to that because of how we live. So when I started doing my chore, people were like, "Why are you doing this?" They're like, "Are you just being nice?" I'm like, this is just part of being in community. And I was just like, why aren't we taking care of this space? It belongs to the Three Jewels. There just isn't that kind of, it's like I pay for this room. So this is my entitlement. I'll clean up my room and that's it. And something about that made me feel so sad. And I appreciate how it's like even all these buildings we are stewarding for whoever comes next. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the Three Jewels. I want to leave it in good condition.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that's, again, why we don't charge people for things, why we depend on generosity. Because when people are generous, then they're doing it from the heart, they're creating merit. If you charge a fee, then it's just regular old business. Nobody creates merit. We don't create merit in offering. People don't create merit because they're paying a fee. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I should say, most Dharma centers and retreat centers charge. And the reason is they say that most of them don't even try to live off of donations. They just say this is our Western culture. And if you give something free, people don't appreciate it. But the more you charge, then you make sure you cover your expenses, you save some money, and, yeah. And it turns out well. They give us what we want, we get what we want, and yeah. But it's a totally different feeling, like you observed, staying in that kind of place where you have to pay.
So thought it's very nice when you mention it's for the people and by the people. So it's like nothing belongs to us entirely.
Yeah.
It's all for everyone, and yeah, it's also by them. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's by the people now who contribute. It's for the future. Yeah. You think that just the people at the community now, that we needed to build that big building and pull our hair out in the process just for ourselves? We had no need to make such a big building. If it was just us, we would just stay the way we are. Yeah. In fact, we may all still be living in Ananda, where we were sleeping in the offices. Our bedrooms and offices were the same room. Yeah. And again, we were having teachings in the dining room. Yeah. And it was great then because all 4 kiddies could attend the teachings. Yeah. So if it was just for us and the kiddies, no need to build all this stuff. Yeah. But, the next generation and the generation after that and after that, people are going to need it, and hopefully some people now will need it too. And, we can create peace in a chaotic world, or at least make our contribution towards that. You had a question?
Maybe it's a bit, okay. I was wondering, it's called Monastic Mind Prayer. Why monastic? Because this is all good practice for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it called monastic
is it
mind?
because it's made here, maybe?
Yeah.
Simply like this.
I think it's called a monastic mind prayer because when you become a monastic, it's very clear these are the kind of attitudes and actions that are very important for you to cultivate. Yeah. But like it says, it doesn't matter whether you're a monastic or not. They're good things to practice. Mm-hmm. But if you're a monastic, it's like you're dedicating your life to something that goes beyond your own ego. And so these are the kinds of things that you're going to want to, qualities that you want to put energy into cultivating. Okay, let's dedicate then. Before you go out and offer service in the 90-something degree weather. I can't believe yesterday afternoon, we went out to spread Tanner's ashes, and everybody's walking in like 90+ degree weather up there, back. nobody complained. It was amazing. Nobody complained, and nobody blacked out from heat exhaustion or whatever. Yeah. And I should tell you too, because I was talking to Tanner's parents. I hadn't really met them before. The mother said she had been up one time, but I didn't meet her then. And it seemed Tanner turned 34 like the week before he died, and they still don't know the cause of death. But apparently he loved coming to the Abbey, and there was some thought in his mind, as we had guessed, that maybe he was considering, coming to stay at the Abbey. But they also said that he had a real aversion to commitments. Yeah. And so that aversion to commitments, he had a girlfriend too, and then he loved coming to the Abbey, and he loved he loved gaming, and he loved music. Yeah, and he was collecting all sorts of music, even from my generation. Yeah. Yeah. But he didn't like making commitments to things. Yeah. And so he was working at his parents' restaurant, serving people at the table. People really loved him. He was very friendly and talked to the different visitors who came repeatedly, got to know people. Yeah, but he couldn't kind of make a decision and then follow through. So, what?
His ex-girlfriend was there yesterday.
Yeah, she was there.
But she refused to scatter the ashes.
Yeah. Yeah, she commented to me, when she told me her name, I knew she was, and I said, oh, you were really close to him. She said, yeah, like soul. Yeah. So that, it was hard for her. But, when we cling on to what isn't, then we are miserable. Yeah, so I hope, the mother too was, and the brother, yeah, they were upset and they were crying. So, yeah, so I encourage them to rejoice at the time Tanner was in their lives and to send him on with love. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Us were there when the family left, and they left and they were all smiling. They left and they were all smiling. They were so happy to have had this experience at the Abbey. Yeah. And they were all indicating, many of them anyway, that they were going to be coming back.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. The family and his friends too. Yeah. Yeah.
And on the way down, they had so many questions about Buddhism. And the brother got himself a mala. He was wearing it from the book note.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and brother's wife or partner has a 7-year-old that will wanting to come, and she says she's wanting to register her for the young adults in. And she loved that little girl wanted to come yesterday. But she says the partner says that she knew that it's going to be long, but she will bring the little girl someday, go up there and also come here.
Good.
Yeah. So there were there were so many questions that they were asking all the way down. It's like about Buddhism.
Huh.
reincarnation and what Venerable Thubten said to them, and they were like verifying, was that what she said, and what does that mean? And
what did you say?
I don't know what's being referred to. So Lizzie was beside me at lunch. And she said, at one point, she said, I've got a really weird question for you. And I said, we're really good at weird, Lizzie. So she said, where do you think Tanner is right now? So I told her a little bit about the Buddhist worldview around, all of that. I told her the Buddhist worldview about where he might be at this time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting, even that question presupposes a permanent person, a permanent soul, So those of you who are Geshe Topke's teaching this morning, this is, the kind of person that Buddhism does not accept. Somebody, that's permanent, so that, Tanner dies and Tanner goes wherever he is, and he still speaks English, and he still has the same personality, and, and his new rebirth, he's going to look exactly the same. No. Mm-hmm.
Very end, Robin was like, I have these ashes here. And that, she understood that there wasn't a Tanner anymore.
Yeah.
And that this whole idea that the love and the kindness that he generated over this life doesn't have a form, but it doesn't end. And that's about as, and she felt really reassured that there was, and not so much an essence, but there was some possibility that all the goodness that he had cultivated in this life was not for naught.
Yeah.
That there was something that continued, and she liked that idea.
Yeah. Well, your karmic predispositions continue. So, yeah, Robin, it was the mother. Yeah. Okay, let's dedicate. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And then page 69 in the blue book. Yeah. Go for it, Venerable Chuni, Venerable Thubten, Venerable somebody.
May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, attain an ocean of happiness and joy, by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, common evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May all who are ill or injured quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other for as long as space endures, and as long as living beings remain. Until then,